here today doing an Arizona drag racing legend with our buddy Matt DeYoung. Now, Matt in himself is quite a legend, but he's also the offspring of one of my best friends ever and a true Arizona drag racing legend, Bob DeYoung. Bob DeYoung left us a few years ago, but somebody who really touched the lives of a lot of racers and accomplished a lot of cool things. And I'll tell you now that Matt is basically the mini-me of his dad. He laughs when I say that, but I'll tell him, Matt bought a new Mustang a while back, and I said, your dad had one like that earlier. My dad had a Mustang, and I showed Matt a picture of his dad back when we went back to U.S. Nationals, and he didn't have a beard, and he goes, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I had no clue.
So
I actually sent that photo to my mom. I was like, "Was this really Dad?"
Yeah,
yeah, it's
amazing. So Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Your legendary status comes from a different angle. You've done a lot for drag racers in Arizona. You continue to do stuff for drag racers in Arizona and all throughout Division 7 now.
Yes.
Matt is our NHRA Division 7 director. He's done a great job. We see him, if you follow him on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to see him everywhere, every weekend, and we're lucky to have him this weekend. Matt managed Tucson Dragway for quite a few years and grew the program there and had a lot of great successes. And I'm sure NHRA said, "Hey, son, we want to talk to you." NHRA is trying to get a little bit younger and a little bit fresh, and they want to bring the right people in. And we, the people that know you, believe that actually happened.
Thank you.
So let's start this off. Congratulations for all your successes so far.
Thank you.
Let's start this off talking about your dad. Okay. What was it like being the son of a true legend?
It was never a dull moment. One of my earliest memories is from Firebird at the drag strip here. I don't know whose truck bed I was in the back of, but I remember it's pouring rain, and I don't remember who the kid was who was playing Hot Wheels in the back with me under the golf umbrellas, but I remember we were soaked head to toe, and I remember looking in the race trailer, and there's Dad looking out the race car trailer door, just watching us play Hot Wheels in the rain in the bed of this truck. And whoever the kid is, if the kid knows, I'd love to know who that was. But having those memories are memories I'll never forget. Riding around the golf cart seat with Dad, and you just knew when you were at a racetrack, it didn't matter, you were safe. It was one big massive family, and 9 out of 10 times I'm sure I left him sitting on a golf cart probably across from you talking, and I'd go wander the pits as a little kid and come back. I knew he'd be right there on the golf cart. He'd be sitting there still talking to people. But just those memories are things that I could never recreate to this day.
He definitely probably made it tough to get through the pits quickly.
Yes.
Because everyone knew everybody, and he'd stop and
that
visit.
That was something that is instilled in me, is you always have time to talk to somebody. You always have that time. Take the time, make it, have them walk with you if that's the case. But that's really important.
I met your dad the first time in the 70s, and he was running the scales at Mel Larson's Dragway, or whatever it was called way back then, and he was just up from Tucson. He just kind of moved up here just prior to that, and I know he was he started off, he worked for House of Speed, and and he was having a great time with those guys with the lanes and all the other people, the Lefevres and everybody that hung out there, and I remember meeting him, and from the get-go, it's like I had a friend, and I was just amazed by this guy, and this is a guy that's actually an official at a racetrack, and he talked to me. What do you, I'm sure you have a lot of people tell you stories that makes you proud of your dad, and that would probably be like a 3 installment 5-hour film for us to go through that, because he definitely received a lot of accolades. But I remember your dad as just really wanting to help people, and go out of his way to do it. And and do you have any stories that you can remember that?
I mean, it didn't matter what it was. If I asked for something, it was going to happen, and it wasn't in a spoiled way. It was in, he wanted to make everybody in his life happy. I mean, from my mom to his dad, everybody. My uncle, I remember it was no matter what it was, Bob will be there. And I remember hearing that from a lot of people, is Bob will be there, whether it be from Chris or anybody at that point. And that was probably really important on my side.
Well, he was that way. I just, I can't remember him not doing something for somebody. I hung out with him a whole lot. Your dad was one of two people that were in my wedding.
Yes. Insert photo here, please.
Yeah.
I like those photos.
That was he was there, and he was part of my family as well, and he did great things for my family. But I remember his race cars, and I remember the probably the most talked about car he ever had, drag car, was the El Camino that Joe Faulkner drove.
Yeah.
And that thing was wicked. It was heavy, big.
I wish I could have seen it run.
Well, I know every time somebody has a picture of it.
Yes.
So insert the title here. If you have a picture, any pictures of the old Faulkner and DeYoung, El Camino, send them to Matt DeYoung, please.
Yes, please, absolutely, 100%, please do. And I hear a rumor, and maybe you can explain this to me. I'm sure it is true. Was the tailgate filled with concrete?
Yes.
Okay. Solid.
Yeah.
I had heard rumors and was never really sure if that was the case.
They did that to get the weight out the back over the tires.
Yep.
And the thing is, you never want the tailgate to go down because it's going to take.
First
First of all, if it survived, if it slammed down, it survived the hitches not falling or the pins not falling off. I think it was secured. To tell you the truth,
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, we need to get Joe Faulkner in on this. He could.
We should.
Yeah, he'll tell you all the stories.
Yes.
But that was well known by a lot of people, and he and Joe were just like, had a great time with it, and it was just at Beeline especially. I mean, that's where I remember it running the most. But he took it to Orange County, and he raced a lot of places with it, and became really well known for that. Then he moved on, and his coolest car, drag car, well, they're all cool, but he decided he was going to he wanted to go super stock racing. So he built a Hemi Cuda.
Yep.
And I remember him, I was around him a lot when he's building the car, and just remembering all the details of the car, like the seats were out of a van, a Dodge van.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
really, okay.
There was no window mechanisms. They had seat belts. You actually, that was Mopar built the car as an NHRA car to dominate in superstock, much like Ford built, Mercury built the cars, and everybody had a car they built for it. So that was what Mopar did. But it was like such a cool car, and there was acid jet parts on it, and he ran out and he did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah.
And it's just a tough class to race, but it was a beautiful car. John Whelan drove it.
Yep.
John Whelan, another great guy, and we'll make sure he chimes in on this somehow too, because I'm sure he can add some stories.
And I just came across some handwritten time slips from that car. I think it was from maybe Texas. There was a race in Texas, I think the Fall Nationals. I feel like it was written, but all handwritten. And in my mind, of course, my mindset first goes to, holy cow, it must have taken forever to handwrite time slips. But holy cow.
Well,
that's how it was.
It did in the ET booster. Sometimes two people plus the person handing them out.
That's crazy.
That's
insane.
Now it's all, you live in the automated world where it's just one guy tearing off receipts, handing them to people.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, he raced all over the place. Orange County, he raced NHRA races. I know he went to Texas with a car. Yeah. With El Camino, they went to Green Valley Raceway. They used to race a lot of NHRA races.
Gotcha.
But he was fantastic with that. You remember, I'm going to bring you up to speed to where you enter Matt. But and then he decided to go stock car racing.
Yeah.
And your dad's stock car, he didn't do it in a conventional form. He decided he was going to build a stock car. He'd be a little different, so he built a late model stock car with a Cadillac body on it.
Okay, why not? I mean, why be the same as everybody else, right?
Yeah. So he was the Cadillac guy, and we went all over the place with that. But he around somewhere in that time he fell in love with your mom. Yeah. And his world kind of came upside down and inside out the right way. And you came along, and he had a great purpose in his life, and he was a great dad. Yeah. And somebody we dearly miss. I mean, there's not a day. There's about 3 people in my life that I think about every day, and he's one of them. Yep. And I'm thankful that he was here with us.
Agreed. There's not a day goes by that I don't, on a drive somewhere, think, I got to call Dad and talk to him about this, or tell him about this, or think or ask what he thinks about this, and bounce ideas off him. And now I call you. I call Chris, or I call Gary Brown, one of my dad's best friends, and it could be 10 o'clock at night, and Gary, I got to talk to him driving.
Is he still back in Indiana or wherever?
He is, yeah, still back east, yep.
Great guy.
Yep. I mean, it just, miss him completely dearly. But the memories I have, I wouldn't trade for anything. I mean, I'm sure you remember the days sitting in a shop in Tempe. I'll have to find the picture, but there's a picture of him like holding me at the red Brokey Roadster, like in the cockpit where they were tearing the motor out, I think. But those are the days that I wouldn't trade for anything.
Yeah, he had a good time with that car as well.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yep.
You know, one of my biggest things you've honored me with is that when you won your first big award at Tucson Dragway as the Track of the Year, Division 7 Track of the Year, my phone rings early in the morning, and I go, it's you. I go, you okay? He goes, I just had to call and tell somebody, you know.
Yeah.
And that I was really honored by that. But that's the person you are.
Thank you.
And that's the person your dad was. You know, he gets excited, and he got excited about things, and he was proud of what he did.
Yeah.
You came along, and you know, unfortunately, we lost your dad, and I can tell you the funeral services were just unbelievable number of people there. You know, and I remember your dad went on to work for Krager and was known as the Krager guy for years. And
Yeah.
I remember in the parking lot, it's about most all the cars out there had Krager wheels on it. So
Yes.
that was a big
Yes.
testimony to your dad. You know.
Yeah.
And he was, larger than life.
Yeah.
But things kept going on, and you got into photography like your dad. Your dad was
Yeah.
a great photographer. We're gonna some of the pictures you're gonna supply Mike, our videographer. I'm gonna give me some of your dad's pictures,
Yes.
and
Yep.
I mean he did it. If your dad did it, he didn't do it halfway.
Yeah.
He was
committed.
all in, and he had a lot of stuff, published pictures and such, but he. I can't remember a time that he wasn't excited about when he decided to do it. He did it all the way.
Yeah. I think that seeing that and hearing you tell me about that is what really drives me to who I am today.
Well, and I've known you for quite a while, obviously. But the thing that you came along and you're doing photography and you're doing all the cool things you could do. You're launching high altitude balloons with cameras on them to go across the upper atmosphere, and you're just like doing all the things that basically in the early days of what a social media guy would be doing. You're doing things and getting a lot of buzz, a lot of people following you. Jim Hughes was a good friend of your dad.
Yeah. Yep.
And how did that come about where you going to work for Jim in Tucson?
I had started doing some social media stuff and web work for Hughes Performance. Jim brought me on board for that, and we kind of helped push some new products and some new layouts and designs. And then I had told him, he'd know about my passion for photography and stuff, and instantly he's like, man, why aren't you doing stuff with the Phoenix track with Firebird at the time? And I said, I don't know, I just don't really have a connection. And he goes, well, come on, let's go. And so he set up a lunch, and we had lunch. I started doing some photography for them. And it was only a few months that I was doing photography and social media stuff for the track in Phoenix, and the Tucson opportunity happened, and Jim went down, looked at the track, looked at the facility, and was like, wow, this is cool. I can't let this place go. Like, somebody has to step up, and Jim stepped up, and stepped up huge. And I don't know, it was probably like a Wednesday or Thursday, and he goes, hey, what do you think about giving this thing a go? And I was like, what thing a go? He said, the racetrack. And I think my words were, I've never done anything like this. And I'm pretty sure his words were, neither have I. We could probably make this happen. And looking back at that, just thinking that's the conversation we had, and it led our team to grow such a great facility and be around a bunch of great group of racers that I could have never met without that. Makes my heart happy. It's a great chapter in my life.
Well, you did really well there, and you had a great team. And one of the things that always stood out to me, and I remember, is that you'd before the races, you'd bring all your group together in prayer.
Yep.
And you always seemed to work pretty good for you guys.
Yes.
And they were really a tight knit group, and everybody that I ever ran into there was always happy to be working with you.
Yeah, and Jim gave that mindset to us of you lead it, hit the home run, do it, see what you can do, and that helped so much. That helped immensely. That helped with the leadership of our team, from on track to off track to ticketing, and absolutely our on track meetings that were always about 20 minutes before we started running were one of the most important things to our group. I remember one race we were running behind, and I think I was running behind. Everything was, and one of my guys stopped me and goes, "We need to pray," and it was someone who doesn't typically pray, and just that reminder of, you're right, we were never too behind, we were never too busy to do the right thing. And that was 100% it. And we grabbed the team together real quick, and we did it because that was important to our track family.
Well, and I know you're not really one to toot your own horn, but you also served your church for a long time and did the audiovisual part of it, and you're giving your life to Jesus, and you try to lead by example, and that's all any of us can do. But I was so proud of you for doing all that, and so there's it's not only what you do in racing, it's what you do for the community, and you've done a lot for community. I remember you as a younger guy going to a lot of Diamondbacks games, taking a lot of baseball pictures as well.
I love it. It's crazy. My love for baseball started from my dad. He didn't play baseball that I'm aware of, but every year for spring training, no matter what industry or hecticness, he took a week off of work, and we went to one, if not two, spring training games a day for a week straight. And I remember he was so tired. Like it wore him out. Like I remember that. But it was because I wouldn't just go for the game. We got to be there when the gates open, so I can try and get autographs. So I can try and meet a player. I can try and do something. And without a doubt, every year we did that. And it was something I looked forward to. At the entire baseball season, I look forward to the next.
Well, earlier on when we used to work together, he would go make it a point to go to my daughter's softball games.
Okay.
Summer,
Wow.
They play rec ball.
Yeah.
And he would show up, and
Yeah.
my wife Kathy and I would be sitting there, and whether it was Emily or Kristen's game, and all of a sudden Bob would come and sit and watch and have a good time and be comfortable, and he just liked doing things like that. I think that helped him too to balance out the racing side of it and everything else he did.
Yeah, and that's 100% me too. I love going to the baseball games right now. We have partial season against the Diamondbacks, and that's the release. I can go with my nieces and family, or I can go sit by myself and be completely okay with it because it is completely different. It's an unwinding moment.
There's no clock. There's no finish clock.
There's no hourly clock that's raking up the numbers. It's nice to sit there and enjoy it and see how other events and venues move people and operate and structure that kind of stuff.
Well, in racing, you got to compress because you can't create more time.
Correct.
You try to compress everything and have the track being utilized as much as possible.
Yep.
But in baseball, they put the pitch clock in, which actually I didn't like at first, and I actually like it now.
I do too. I didn't like it at first. Now I do. Yeah.
But the game still goes on till it's over.
Correct.
And that's what I like about it. There's no expectations, and it's a really relaxing game.
Yeah.
You worked for, how long did you work for Tucson?
I was there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the track grew and had a lot of great events come in, and between you and Jim, you're basically known all over the country.
Yeah. Very thankful for that.
And your success there puts you in the vision of somebody else saying, it's time for you to move up and do something different. How did the NHRA thing come along?
It came along. It was a couple of phone calls. Mike Rice was a former Division 7 director, and he had been spread really thin. He'd been doing all the national events, and for the last few years, it had been a conversation of how do we progress Mike to do all the national events. So there's consistency in the competition side. He's just at the national events, and conversation happened, and it was really just here we are. What do we do? And I was incredibly blown away by it. I can't put that into words. I don't know. I was very humbled because I never thought this would be something that I'd be wearing the oval on my shirt like this. Just didn't seem like it. 10-year-old me, 10-year-old me would probably think I'm crazy if I said I get to stand on a starting line and watch a legend go down the track.
Well, you got a lot big shoes to fill because having raced Division 7 for a long time, been some really big names as Division 7 directors, and I truly believe that your path takes you the same way.
Thank you.
I see you. The great thing about social media now. Well, let's go a step back. Used to be I'd see you a lot more often, but now your job, you got a lot of frequent flyer miles and hotel points, and I've lived that life myself, and it's good, but it gets tiring after a while. But it's still something different every place you go.
It is.
I see you on Facebook. You were just at the Western
Conference Finals in Dallas
for the junior dragsters and the Junior Drag Racing League.
Yes, it was incredible. It's funny. While you're talking off camera about something, David and I were talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm number 2 in points, and number 1 is Dylan Smith." I'm like, "Oh, that was one of my junior kids." And I'm like, "I'm officially old enough to say that one of my junior kids is running big cars and is number 1 in points in Firebird right now." Like, holy cow, that was kind of a hit moment in my head. But the juniors are just incredible. I mean, 200 of them, and let's add all the parents on top of it. We had a week of racing, and it was incredible. It was great. I loved every second of it.
Tell me about the cowboy hat you were wearing.
The cowboy hat. Well, we had Dallas did a great job. Every night they had something for the kids to do activities-wise, and that night was the Hootenanny. So it was live music, and it was just a place to get all the kids together and unwind. So their team deputized all of us, and I had a little sheriff's badge that they gave us, and had a cowboy hat. All of our NHRA team, we all got one. And it was nice just
But
to
yours
be,
was black. Those are what the bad guys wear. I saw you with a dark hat on.
well, this is dangerous. I didn't know that at all. It just matched the polo.
Oh, okay. Well then,
That's
okay.
all. That's the only reason I had a
Good guys
black
wear,
one.
the good guys in the old westerns always wear white hats.
That's good to know. Okay, but you can't wear white at drag race.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
They get a little
see?
specs over. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
We'll give you a mulligan on this one.
Okay,
Matt.
deal. All right, okay.
So, but there's a number of things like that. I like to talk about the junior dragsters for a moment. I
Yes.
think any of us the drag race when it first came along, we're going, isn't that cute?
Right.
You know, look at our watches and then be out there. And,
Yep.
But now you look back at the people that are actually racing on a national event level, racing
Yes.
fuel cars, and
Yep.
you know they're moved on that came with the junior dragsters, and we have one here in Arizona. You know, a couple of them in Arizona. But you know, I can think of Dylan Wineski. You know, he's getting ready to. Family's putting together a big show, funny car.
Yep.
And he started off in junior dragsters. He's driven in fuel altered.
Yeah.
He's but he learned what he learned, hanging with his dad, working on the big
Yes.
car.
Yep.
And racing his car.
It's a great program that really draws a passion. I mean, if you're going to drive from Phoenix to Dallas to race juniors, there's a passion and a commitment level that's incredible. That racer is going to see how this big track in Texas treats their racers, and is going to want to continue to do that and continue to go these big car races as they grow up, because the parents are racing, and it's cool for me to see that. I mean, the first year in Tucson, I remember there was a kid this big, and now they race big cars, and it's just like, I think I'm still that age in 2015 when I started in Tucson. I'm not. I feel it, but it's just crazy to think that. And the junior program has just gotten so big. To see a kid smile for a Wally, it's cool. Giving a Wally away is one of the most incredible feelings in the world.
I wouldn't know what it's like to get one though. So
Well,
yeah,
I don't know what it's like to get one, but I
Yeah.
know what it's like to give one.
Yeah.
And when you give it to someone, I promise you the smile at the top end of the track is the same whether they're 55 years old in an alcohol funny car or they're 12 years old in a junior dragster.
It's a Wally.
It's a Wally. And that it's like there's Disney magic there. I love that. It makes my heart happy.
that's a great feeling. You do all Division 7 stuff, and then you go to some other events to help pitch in, and
Yep.
you know, and
We got to go to Dallas for the Western Conference Finals. Typically, you go to Dallas for Jags All Stars, and to represent D7, which we are the reigning champions. So our racers took home the All Stars trophy last year, which was incredible. And then a couple other events. Went to Chicago this year. Got to go there and help with some drag and drive event there, which was really fun. So, just a good variety that keeps my brain busy.
we're lucky that you had a weekend off.
Yeah, I am very thankful for it.
It's kind of like trying to schedule a meeting with the Pope and getting a hold of you, Matt.
Thank you.
What do you see for the future of racing?
I think it looks bright. I think the changing demographic and scene is what's important. Our key and our demographic will always be our local bracket racers, our Summit Series, our Lucas Oil Series program. And I think growing those to different areas is important. Drag and drive, like an 860 index class, those are all things that as a company we're looking at and talking about because we see the future, and under the leadership we have with Glenn, that we don't want to stay the same. If we stay the same, we're not going to win 100%. And so it's cool to see that mindset shift from the company that I came into a year and a half ago that I didn't think would change. I mean, we've got a gunmetal gray Wally right now that's meant for tracks to reach out to their big tire, small tire, those outlaw style cars, and give them a chance to win a Wally. And it's cool to see those programs work. I mean, they've been in existence for a couple of years now, and to see a local track like Tucson or Firebird use it and be like, look, it's working. They're bringing big tire, small tire cars to their Summit program. That's cool. I love seeing that. So I think the demographic continues to change because it has to.
The mix, what they're doing. I say, back in the old day, it was easy. You have, 4 brackets, and
Right.
you'd run a pro gas, a super gas, super comp race, and you can run an event. Now it's because of the internet. It's so diverse. You got cars left-hand lug nut cars that want to race each other, and the Pontiac guys want to get together and have their own race, and so to get them all together in one spot, that's the big challenge. I believe there's more cars than ever, but they just don't seem to all show up at the same place anymore.
Right, and I think we're very blessed that we have a number of tracks that are doing a number of different things. Firebird could have a points race for Summit Series and bracket cars, while Irwindale's got a street night for a big tire, small tire shootout. Again, you're a 6-hour tow, but either person can race at either place. And I think that's important because the amount of cars in our industry and the demographic of our industry continues to change. And the answer is there for everybody. There is racing for everybody. And that's what makes me happy.
We've had a great conversation. One thing I want to kind of bring up, and thank you for, we had Chuck Sundstrom do a video a couple weeks ago, and we know from the local inside out part, he pushed really hard and pulled some strings and made people help people talk to one another to keep our track open here. Now back again, Firebird Motorsports Park.
Yeah.
But I also know that you were working really hard on behind the scenes as well, and we're good friends. I never tried to pry anything out of you, but I could tell that some good things were happening by the things you would say and wouldn't say.
Yeah.
And we did our best to keep everybody calm.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you and NHRA. Definitely, once again, Chuck Sundstrom and the people at Bradford had a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
And I continue to say it: support your local drag strip.
Absolutely.
Phoenix is the 5th largest population center in the country, and for us not have a drag strip would be criminal.
Yeah, it was incredible. Our entire team at NHRA was involved in helping. And what do you want us to do? You want us to come to a board meeting? We'll come to a board meeting. I mean, from accounting to competition to Glenn, everybody was involved in how do we save or help this track? What do we do? And it was refreshing to see that. And the national event, two national events ago, the last past one was amazing, because I'm standing there with Governor Lewis, who was, I don't know if the right word's awe-inspiring, but like it's just a calming moment to see him. And Sean Langdon came up and introduced him, met him and stuff, and said, "Hey, why don't you come to the starting line when I launch?" And he goes, "Oh, really? Can I?" Like, "Yeah, of course you can. Come on up." And so he went up there, and watching him walk out in front of me and see the crowd, the fans, the racers, everybody that's there, and like he goes, "This is what it is." And I didn't quite hear him at the time. I said, "Yeah, this is exactly it. This is our sport. This is our world. This is what you're looking at." And it was almost as if instantly he knew that track had to stay.
Well, the Indian, Gila River Indian community, they're really family oriented.
Yes.
Do a lot of programs for families and kids and such. And I believe that Governor Lewis saw that this drag racing is much the same.
Yeah.
And I also believe they like hosting those people. It's a good feeling when they bring everybody together to attend the event.
Yeah.
He amazed me, and but what even amazed me more is that, of course, the last pass at Wild Horse.
Yes.
It was never said it was the last NHRA racer ever. I remember at the last supposed bracket race, I'm up in the tower talking to you, and I said, "Why are all the police cars here?" And you said, "Well, you can't run a race without equipment, so we just want to make sure nothing walks away as souvenirs." So that gave me hope. I don't know if you told me a whole lot when you said that.
Yeah.
So we know it's like nothing's a given.
Right.
But but the biggest, coolest thing is that we said, "Oh, it's a sellout 2 years ago because everybody thought they're losing the track." It's sold out again this year.
Correct. Motorsports is alive and well.
Yeah,
and
it's
no matter what
fantastic.
anybody says online, on a blog, on a website, it doesn't matter. Motorsports is not dying. It is not dead. Our industry is growing. Our racers are dedicated, more dedicated than I think I've ever seen. They want to succeed as a group, as an industry. You can't stop passion like that.
Well, your passion definitely shows, and
Thank you.
It's good talking to you. Longtime friends, and I truly respect what you do, and we appreciate. We know you're fair to everybody in Division 7, but Arizona's your home.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, Arizona's my
And
home.
we want to remind you that.
Yeah, understood. Arizona's my home.
But thank you so much, Matt. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
God bless the memory of your dad.
Absolutely.
I mean, Bob DeYoung. I get verklempt when I think about him. He was such a good man, and we're blessed to have you in our lives. And
thank you,
Matt DeYoung. You are, as well as your dad, true Arizona drag racing legends.
Thank you. I appreciate that.